dark here now, but I'm going to talk to you something about the foreign policy of India. And it's worth thinking over it because there are many people who go overboard thinking about Mr. Narendra Modi, that he's a great man, he's done a lot of good for India, and there's no doubt about it. But then all five fingers don't have the same size. So he has stripped at a number of places. And we're going to talk about those places he has stripped and then compare him with Mr. Rahul Gandhi and whether Rahul Gandhi is a washover or he has some metal in him. It's a very important topic, you must understand, because as I've told you earlier, I am on nobody's side. I'm a historian, a soldier who's got a tradition of 100 years with the Indian Armed Forces, my father, my great uncle, and I will talk from the nationalistic point of view. The first thing is there was an earthquake in Turkey, and fools tread in where walk in where angels fear to tread. I'm afraid the Indian Prime Minister Modi went overboard and he began to give a lot of help to Turkey. Turkey didn't ask for it. It was voluntary help. The Indian army was positioned there. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent. Aircraft were moved with the equipment. The army set up a field hospital, looked after things, and the people there were very grateful to India. Okay, that's one aspect. But on the 3rd of this month, in the Rights Conference in the United Nations, Turkey castigated India for violation of human rights in Kashmir and supported Pakistan. Now, what was the use of sending all that help to Turkey if this is what you're going to get from them? And then there's a sharp retort for India that's got no relevance. So, point which I'm trying to make it, you must understand who's your friend and who's your enemy. Token help for Turkey was in order because Turkey was receiving help from the Western world and from some of the Muslim countries. So there's no need for India to rush in with all the paraphernalia of the army, doctors, and this thing and that, and then doing it, and then getting a kick in the butt. So very sad, but that's precisely what happened. Turkey cannot be India's friend because there's a reason behind it. Because ever since the Ottoman Empire was in existence, Turkey has not been friends with the Indians. They were friends with the Indian Muslims. And it's the Indian Muslims who were fighting for the Khilafat movement, which Gandhi supported, and ultimately he got nothing out of it. Also, you remember that. He was supporting the Khilafat movement. Jinnah was against it. Gandhi thought he'd become the darling of the Muslims, but ultimately he got nothing. And in any case, the Caliphate was not allowed to come, and it collapsed after 1922. From that time onwards, I've seen some videos of that period. The Ottoman Emperor, the sultans, always looked to the Indian Muslims for help. So, not India. And now they consider Pakistan as an Islamic state and they are all hogs for it. They're going in full support of Pakistan. And I don't see why Mr. Modi had to rush in there. Then there's a statement which Modi made when the first incursions took place from China, and he made a solemn oath, and he said not an inch of land has been surrendered to Pakistan, to China. Probably it was for domestic consumption, because ultimately what I understand from people on the ground that almost 2,000 square miles of territory was taken over by China. And yet the Indian Prime Minister was saying not an inch of territory has been taken over. This point has been brought out by Rahul Gandhi in his recent press conference, which I was listening to, and he said the same thing. He said when the Indian Prime Minister makes a statement that no land has been taken by China, it's a wrong signal to China, especially when they know we have taken a few hundred square miles of territory. So when the Indian Prime Minister is still saying it gives them a fillip. Let's do something more. He's going to keep talking like this. So you have to be very, very circumspect as the leader of the Indian nation. So what did Rahul Gandhi say? He said the same thing which I have said, that what the Indian Prime Minister said should not have been said. You got to face China. And then Rahul Gandhi has made a statement at the conference in which he had a discussion with Mr. Shankar, and he told him, "Ki you are not knowing how to deal with China." Now, that is a point which is debatable because China is not like dealing with Pakistan. If you remember, when the Pulwama attack took place, the Indian Prime Minister was going all hammer and tongs against Pakistan, and he said they'll have to pay a massive price for it, right? Then there was the Balakot strike, the surgical strikes. But when the Galwan clash took place, 20 Indian soldiers died. He didn't say anything. Or he was talking very seriously that our soldiers have died fighting this thing. He didn't talk of any revenge, repercussions, reprisals against China. ये बात सोचने वाली है. This point must be thought over. That means you are treating China with kid gloves. And I quite agree with Rahul Gandhi that this is not the way to deal with China. China does not recognize Arunachal Pradesh as a part of India. And if there's a resident of Arunachal Pradesh who wants to go to China, they issue him a visa which is stapled and don't accept the Indian visa. Indians don't do anything like that for people who come from Tibet. Indians do not give any importance to Formosa, that is Taiwan. Indians don't say anything about Hong Kong, nothing about the Uyghurs who have been persecuted by the Chinese. While China keeps on saying everything, and they put a bar so many times on terrorists, put a hold, stopping the UN from taking action against terrorists who were holed up in Pakistan. Now, that is also a fact. So, obviously, it means that Rahul Gandhi is correct. So, let us not dismiss everything Rahul Gandhi says as if he's a papu and talking nonsense. It's not like that. He's been in politics for a long time. He's maturing, he's learning, and yet he doesn't have a charisma of no Modi. Yes, I agree. But then he's got a 2 decades head start over Modi. Modi's crossed 70 and he's only 50. So 20 years down the line, where's Modi going to be and where's Rahul going to be? We don't know. And neither I know. And astrology can't tell us these things. But the point is that the Indian foreign policy needs a revamp. We are not yet clear whether we are on the side of Russia or on the side of America. That's another point. Sitting on the fence is like Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Because once you have a fall, my friends, you will agree with me, there's nobody who's going to put Humpty Dumpty together again. So you've got to make your choices. And you've got to decide. Either you go with Russia or you go with America. America, in my opinion, is unreliable. They've been unreliable all the time. They supported Pakistan. And even now they're supporting Pakistan. Because the Americans have fond remembrance that in 1954, Pakistan was one of the first countries in Southeast Asia which joined hands with America. At that time, Pandit Nehru said he wanted to be neutral. That's a fact. So, this is the reality. Russia has stood by us all the time. And at this time, not going whole hog for Russia and abstaining every time in the United Nations has got no relevance. If Russia has to back you against China, you have to back Russia totally. Russia and China have allies, but if the Russians had allies that India is on our side, they will intercede for you on behalf of China, of you with China. But if you keep sitting on the fence, then the urge to help India is that much diminished. I think people must understand what I'm saying. So, foreign policy is a dynamic thing, and dynamic in the sense that you've got to see the interests of your country. And you don't have to go in a way and do some things where even the angels will not go. Turkey is one of them. India is, you know, vacillating as far as the Ukraine war is concerned. Which side are they on? They saying have a negotiated settlement. I mean, this is the most insulting thing I think for Russia to say you have a negotiated settlement. Russia's got legitimate security concerns, and you don't give this sort of advice to Russia to have a negotiated settlement. What negotiations? When the Western world doesn't want negotiations, they don't want any negotiations. They just want to incorporate Russia as an enemy, incorporate Ukraine into NATO, and if possible, break Russia another two, three countries. That's what the plan is. So India is again on the wrong foot. And at the same time, we must accept the fact that our economy hasn't matched up with China. We have an economy of 3 trillion, the Chinese have 18 trillion. They have done away with hunger, poverty. As I said, freedom means what? Freedom means freedom from poverty, hunger, good food. This is what health of the nation. And we are way behind China, which and win one gold medal or medal in the Olympics. Chinese win 200, 300. This is just an aside to tell you that everything is not the way as it looks. And as a historian, I feel it's about time Narendra Modi's government came down to brass tacks, wherein they project Indian power. You've got to make your decisions. And you can't keep treating the armed forces like scum. That's what, unfortunately, I'm afraid I have to use this word. The OROP was due in 2019 and it is now 2023, 4 years, and the money has not been paid. Once you have committed that you'll evaluate, reaffix the pensions in every 5 years, it's a bounden duty of the government to get it done by 2019 June. They started the exercise maybe 6 months earlier. They didn't do anything, and now finally the Supreme Court has to intervene and say to pay everything in one lump sum because the government decided we will pay the installments over a period of 2 years in four installments. I mean, what's the use of giving payment? The veterans are already old. Many of them will die, go away. Is this what the government wants? So, gentlemen, there are so many things which are very common between Nehru and Modi, and that is very sad. I think he is also living in a make believe world sometimes when he goes around here and there in foreign countries and he's not able to decide between Palestine and Israel. He made a visit to Israel and he followed up with a visit to the Palestine also to meet Mr. Abbas, who's the Prime Minister. You got to put your eggs in one basket and fight and make what is required. After all, your ally is not the Palestinian state. Your ally is only supporter in the world is Israel, and there must be something about it. And now they have developed cold feet. Even the UAE is better off than India in having cultivating relations with Israel. Now these are the points which we have to see. And one thing is the realization that the Islamic world routinely condemns India on Kashmir. And I have just to ask a question of people, why doesn't the OIC go and condemn China in Xinjiang? They don't do it. They dare not do it. Now, that is the point to be seen. Why? Because China is an economic power, military power, and we are not. So, another thing is, Rahul Gandhi is immature, I agree, but he's got a brain, and his father was, after all, a great Indian leader. His grandfather, sorry, Jawaharlal Nehru, he's the grandson. And his father, Rajiv Gandhi, give him credit for making two interventions. He sent in the Indian army in Sri Lanka. He sent in the military operation in the Maldives and restored the government back there. These are mighty big decisions which nobody else ever taken in the history of independent India. And Modi done nothing practically. So, gentlemen, there has to be a revamping of the policy. And number two is India will have to have a settlement on Kashmir. How long are you going to keep on fighting? And now another thing has taken place, and I'm not happy with it. The army is being thinned down in Kashmir. That is, you are lowering your guard. The gauntlet is coming down. What happens if tomorrow some more attacks take place, and they are in any case taking place, and terrorism has not been eradicated, but Pakistan doesn't want to do it. And none of the Muslim countries are really pressurizing Pakistan on this. I want to know which Muslim country is doing it. And the Americans are giving lip service, and China openly backs them, puts holds on terrorists. That means our foreign policy needs a revamp. To my way of thinking, we have only one really good friend, and that is Russia, and the second is Israel. That's all on whom you can rely. Russia saved India umpteen times in the United Nations Security Council when the West brought in resolutions in favor of Pakistan. God forbid if those resolutions had been passed, Kashmir would now have become a protectorate of the UN and India would be out from there. It's thanks to the Russians. So it's about time Modi really got his priorities right. Another thing I couldn't understand was the BJP's approach as far as the caste is concerned. Now, if I remember correctly, the RSS always believed in the fact of a classless Hinduism. They don't believe in caste. Yet Modi has sanctified the caste system and even forced the RSS to accept that the caste reservations and other things are good for India. They are not good. Any country, any state which puts meritocracy behind and makes selections on the basis of caste in major appointments, where 50% of the appointments at the supervisory level and the executive level are made on the basis of caste of a person, how can that country ever go and match China or America? These are the points which are worth thinking. And then, how does Modi gain by projecting Mahatma Gandhi as the greatest Indian? He started his new theories like this now, which is again very difficult to stomach because the RSS always felt that Gandhi was an anomaly as far as India is concerned. Well, gentlemen, I can keep on talking, because when I talk rather, I keep on talking and I lose sight because I love to talk. And at the same time, I think I've said enough. I'll say bye bye now. Gentlemen, God bless you all. Jai Hind, glory to India. And lastly, please subscribe to my channel. Please share it with your friends and press the bell icon. Let's see when I put a new video, you get it again. And goodbye. Take care. God bless. Thank you.